All right. We're waiting on a couple colleagues, but I think I'm going to go ahead and first start by thanking everyone for your patience this evening, especially our friends that are here to receive the proclamation. We really appreciate your presence and your patience. And with that, I will call the meeting to order. The time is 8:02 p.m., and we are going to start with the roll call.
Mayor Source,
Present.
Vice Mayor Bergenzer,
Present.
Council Members Gordon,
Present.
Ledeju,
Present.
Matias,
Present.
Matulik,
Present.
Palmares.
Present.
All right, thank you. That's going to bring us to the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'll ask everyone to please join council for the pledge. All right, thank you. That's going to bring us to item 4, which is our report out from closed session. I'll ask City Attorney Nebb if we have a report out from closed session.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Council did meet in closed session with regard to the following items. Item A, conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Agency negotiators, Andrew Murray, the city manager, and the unrepresented employee group. Item B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.9D2, 3 cases. Item C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4, 2 cases. Public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, title City Attorney. With regard to items A and D, the council gave direction, and the other items were actually not discussed and will be taken up at a later meeting.
All right, thank you. That's going to bring us to presentations and commendations. And this evening, we have presentation of a proclamation recognizing April 2025 as Sexual
Awareness Month and Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas April is nationally recognized as both Sexual Assault Awareness Month, better known as SAM, and Child Abuse Prevention Month, underscoring the urgent need to address the prevention of sexual violence and child abuse. And whereas this joint proclamation seeks to raise awareness, promote prevention strategies, and support survivors of these critical social and public health and safety issues. And whereas the National Sexual Violence Resource Center leads SAM campaign providing educational tools, hosting events, and empowering communities to speak out against sexual violence. And whereas the 2025 SAM theme emphasized collective actions, survivors' voices, long-term strategies to build safer communities. And whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month promotes protective factors that strengthens families and prevent harms, often symbolized by the planting and pinwheel gardens, representing hope and childhood safety. And whereas the national, state, and local leaders have supported these efforts through proclamations and campaigns, including professional training for those who serve survivors of abuse and violence. And whereas communities involving through outreach, education, advocacy plays a crucial role in preventing abuse, supporting survivors, fostering healthy relationships, and trauma-informed care. Therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Andrew Soares, Mayor of City of Vallejo, along with the Vallejo City Council, do hereby recognize April 25 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Child Abuse Prevention Month. We encourage residents to participate in local events, promote education and consistent and healthy relationships, support organizations who serve survivors. Together, we are reformed and committed to ending abuse, creating a safe, informed, compassionate community for all. Andrew Source, Mayor, Vice Mayor Peter Berganza, Councilwoman Helen Marie Gordon, Councilmember Tanya Lejeune, Councilmember Alex Mateus, and Councilmember J.R. Matulik, and Councilmember Charles Palmares. We want to thank you for being here. Would you like to say something? Go ahead.
Thank you. Mayor, council members, and the community, thank you for acknowledging us today. I'm Carrie Cordero. I'm the executive director of St. Sart, and I'm also a sexual assault nurse examiner going on 20 years next month. So we have a forensic exam team that runs 24 hours a day, with most of our exams being done here in the city of Vallejo. So this is certainly an important issue for us. We also have or operate the county's Child Advocacy Center, and I will introduce Mariah Fiel. She's a victim advocate, as well as Promise Nixon. She is a child forensic interviewer, and we come down here multiple times each month to the care center to limit the distance of families who have been affected by violence and their children need to be interviewed forensically sound. We come down here and actually do the interviews here. So I appreciate the recognition, and thank you.
And we'll ask you to join us down here for a picture really quickly. Thank you so much again for joining us, for your patience, and for the work you are doing in the community, critical work. That is going to bring us, I'm going to move us since we're running behind. That's going to bring us to the first community forum, and I'm going to ask Manny to start the 2-minute clock online. This is for anyone wishing to address the council on items not on tonight's agenda. They can sign up at the kiosk or by raising their hand online. And in the interest of time, we are going to limit our first community forum to our allowed 15 minutes. So we'll have time for about 5 speakers. Do we have any in-person speakers signed up at this time?
Yes, maybe 11.
We have 11. We're going to be able to take the first 5. At least we'll keep an eye out for those 15 minutes. If we have time for more, we will, but we'll take the first 5.
Okay, first up is Daniel Boone, followed by Katie Walker.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I want to talk to you tonight about public trust and accountability. Your Vallejo Code of Ethics and Conduct on page 3 says, quote, "The citizens and businesses of Vallejo are entitled to have a fair, ethical, and accountable local government which has earned the public's full confidence in its integrity." Also on page 3, act in the public interest, recognizing that stewardship of the public interest must be their primary concern. Members will work for the common good of the people of Vallejo. I sent you all an email yesterday, and Ms. Abramson has kindly included it in your materials for tonight. And that email and the 5 attachments to it document the facts that support what I have been telling you about the missing millions of dollars from Lennar and Mare Island Company. Those facts are not my facts. Those facts come from a 2022 document that I included in my email to you and that you have with you tonight, signed by former City Manager Malone, Ms. Nebb, and Ms. Hain. adding up to $8.8 million of public money, unaccounted for, uncollected. The unanswered questions are, what was the Lennar $6 million used for, and why hasn't the city collected the $2.8 million from Mare Island Company? These are public questions arising from public documents about public money. And the answers to those questions should be answered in public, not in secret, in closed session. You as a city council have the power to make those answers public answers. You've been talking since January about trust and transparency and accountability. But will you put your words into action? As Martin Luther King said, the time is always right to do what is right. You could start right now by telling the public the truth about these missing millions of public dollars. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is KT Walker, followed by Matthew Aguilar.
Hello, everybody. My name is Katie Burns, and I'm the admin data analyst and also the community liaison for the iHeart program. So iHeart just made a year this month, and I wanted to come down and share with you guys a little bit of our numbers now that we've made a year and our funds are starting to dwindle down because we're grant funded. So from April 2024 to April 25, we've answered 1,443 calls, with police being present on 106 of those calls, EMS being present 117, and other CBOs 28. Our average response time is 11.6 minutes. Our case management impact, led by our behavioral health specialist and clinical case manager, has connected the following residents: 27 mental health links, 33 shelter links, 52 relocations, and 4 transports. As far as our school-based youth support, we support Hogan with assemblies and weekly wellness check-ins, identifying students for mentorship to prevent violence and reduce suspensions. We also do after-school programming at Patterson, and we've been involved in the late-night basketball. We have a 4-week summer wellness in partnership with Love Our Youth and Lee Rose. And as far as our community support, we've attended over 57 community events. We fed over 2,711 community members, and we've served over 500 hot meals to the unhoused. We've responded to 2 impact calls, and we've also been supporting homicide victims' families. So I just wanted to come, don't worry about writing it down. I did bring a copy for all of you guys today, so I just wanted to share some of the good stats that iHeart, has been accomplished over the last year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Matthew Aguilar, followed by Katie Burns.
Hello, how you guys doing today? First off, let me just have a moment of silence for John Fairchild. So I'm from Vallejo, born and raised, 88. I left 2010. And since I've been back, it's been a whole lot of trouble. I've been going through with the school and everything. My daughter was assaulted at Hogan and everything in between. And I reached out to multiple people to try to help my situation with my family. And unfortunately, I just got blind-eye turned. I contacted the NAACP. She gladly accepted to help me. And by coincidence, I ran into the iHeart, and they're also trying to help me. And it's sad when you call the police dispatch after your 5-year-old daughter just got assaulted, and the dispatch trying to determine if the police are gonna come to you or not. Now I have high hopes for the new police chief. But I do understand, man, that Vallejo, we all got to take accountability in our actions. Because at the end of the day, no child should ever be feared to not be heard, be afraid to go to school. And besides, for people like us, we trying to avoid the street. There ain't nothing in Vallejo to do for these kids, nothing, period. Besides what Marine World, they ride shut down, they hardly working. GVRD, that's supposed to be a basketball association team or some kind of youth aspect. When you go down there, they say, no, not today. We need more organizations like iHeart. We need more accountability for Vallejo. You know, and I appreciate you guys for giving me the time to speak. But at the end of the day, man, this is our future that's at risk. Now, regardless of any money coming up where it isn't accounted for or whatever the case may be, but I do know that Vallejo has one of the most abandoned buildings for the state. I love your comment when you first ran. You said something like, we have a lot of potential, but you don't want to see potential, you want to see progress. And at the end of the day, how we see in progress when we turn down Google, we turn down Netflix, we turn down Pixar for what, the casino? That's math ain't mathing. All I want to do, like I said, born and raised in Vallejo. I remember Hogan Spartan, Hogan High, Vallejo Apaches, not the Thunderbirds. I want to leave Vallejo a better place for my kids where I found it. So if y'all could please take the time, energy, due diligence to help make our future better for the kids. And like I said, man, if I didn't reach out to, I literally ran into Brother Ray Vaughn for my kids, sister, for my kids. And everywhere else I turn, man, they give me a blind eye. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Katie Burns, followed by Terry Poorman.
Katie already spoke.
Oh, she was on there twice. Okay, you're on there twice. Okay, sorry. Terry Poorman. Sir Terry. Ravon Williamson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ravon Williamson. I'm the program manager of the iHeart program. I know Katie shared a lot of the things that we've accomplished, a lot of the numbers. And I just want to share some of the stories or some of the people behind the numbers. One of our very first calls was for an elderly gentleman. He had called 911. He needed assistance with opening his medication. So our team went there, assisted the gentleman to open his medication. What our team learned was that he was recently released from hospice, and he was basically sent home to perish. So our team sat with that individual for nearly an hour, just talking with him, keeping him company. After that, every day until that individual passed, a member of our team went to sit and speak with that gentleman. We had another family, mother-daughter dispute, where, just the mother and daughter couldn't seem to see eye to eye. I had the opportunity to meet the grandmother, sit the family down and talk. That's a family that I meet with or communicate with every Wednesday. If it's not a phone call, if it's not us going out to dinner, if it's not a Zoom, every Wednesday there's some type of contact. And I would just say recently we had to give our staff just a day, a mental health day. Our staff had gone to multiple welfare checks, and I would say just in this year alone, one team of our staff have arrived at 2 or 3 individuals who were passed away. So our team show up every day to do their job, loving their job. Majority of our team are from the city of Vallejo. And we show up as the neighbor, the friend, as community. We're here today because, again, we live on grants. The iHeart program is funded on grants. We're at the end of our grant, and really don't know when our next big grant or grant that will sustain us will come in. Our hope is that we're added, to the general fund or put in a position where every few months or every year we're not looking for grants. We have downsized our team recently, looking to potentially let some of our team go. And it's not just about us per se, but what we identify as our community need, want to be present, want to show up for our community. And we're just looking for just support for us to do our job, for us to show up as a neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last speaker for this session is Roz Cinnamon Johnson. Okay. Sherry Ann Grimm, please.
Good evening, council members. I look forward to the day when I'm not here talking about transparency and accountability with CFDs. Words we hear often but see rarely practiced when it matters the most. I'm here tonight speaking as a resident of a small neighborhood on Mare Island that for 20 years has been treated like pawns in a never-ending game we never agreed to play. We've been told for years that relief is coming. First, the delay was due to historical ships, now it's sewer and water infrastructure. The specific plan, every 2 years we're told, just 2 more years, and meanwhile the tax burden grows. When we requested basic financial records tied to CFD 2002-1, records we have every right to see, we were ignored for over a year. Subsequently, we discovered a separate fund receiving the revenue collected annually specified in CFD 2002-1. Unfortunately, that fund has no relationship to CFD 2002-1. The city now claims this fund pays for compensation to the city for oversight and administration. Yet the city already collects $5 million annually from us in special taxes, which is also covering administration and oversight. A review of Fund 107 suggests commingling of funds, a diversion of taxpayer dollars for purposes that do not benefit the Mare Island development or the community of taxpayers. The Community Facility District tax was meant to fund facilities, services, and improvements that serve us in the community, not to cover the city's own CFD tax obligations on its parcels for years. That's not just bad faith, that's exploitation. And now the city refuses to release all financial ledgers from 2018 to 2025, citing attorney-client privilege. Yet under the California Public Records Act, the claim must be specified and justified. There is no pending litigation, no proper exemption, just vague assertions of privilege. That's not how transparency works. That's how trust is broken. You ran for office because you believed in service. You knew that trust in government is built or broken in rooms like this one, in action either taken or not taken. Transparency is not just a slogan, it's a promise. Accountability is not a buzzword, it's the backbone of public service. When legal advice becomes an excuse for silence, when privilege is used to hide the truth, then we all have a problem. Pushing for financial clarity is not reckless, it's responsible. It says we are not afraid to let the people see how the revenue is collected and how it's being spent. That's how trust is earned, not with polished statements and secrets, but with open ledgers and honest answers. If you are being blocked by lawyers, by pressure, by fear, then say, this is the line, and we choose the light. Because you stop choosing transparency, the damage begins. Corruption doesn't start with headlines, it starts in the shadows.
Thank you. And that is all the in-person speakers that we're able to take, or community forum speakers we're able to take at this time. I know we did have more folks that wanted to speak. You're welcome to stay on and address us in the second community forum. We have 4 action items tonight plus an information item, so I'm not quite sure how long that'll be, but we'll do our best to be expedient. And with that, that's going to bring us to the consent calendar, and we'll go ahead and open up the public comment period for items on the consent calendar. Do we have any in-person speakers on the consent calendar?
Yes, we have one.
Okay, let's go ahead and call that speaker, and then I'll ask council if we have anything that we want to pull from the calendar.
Tom Carney. And Mr. Carney, if you can state which item you want to speak to before you start.
Item H.
Item H, okay.
Mayor and members of the City Council, thank you for taking the time to listen to me tonight. I come to you to thank you for the considerations that you're offering our fairgrounds. It's been a number of years, and we are struggling to stand up. Sounds like just about like everything else here in Vallejo. It breaks my heart to hear the stories of these iHeart people. I feel terrible. We can get by without the $52,000. But these poor people, the community needs their help. But let me spring back. I have been remiss. I have not come and spoken to you all as a group yet. I have been in position for 13 months. In that time, we have upgraded facilities at the fairgrounds. The county has seen fit to bestow upon us a 5-year management agreement. And we are planning a fair. The fair that we're planning this year is going to be something truly amazing. We have some incredible things lined up for it. And we hope that you'll honor us with your presence. We thank you for the faith that you have shown in us. We thank you for the community that you nurture and you keep together. The people that come to the fairgrounds are so desperate, and I am so glad that the city is able to respond to them to the degree that they are. And I appreciate your efforts. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you at the fair. And please come. It's going to be fun for the whole herd. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other speakers online or in person? With that, I'll ask my colleagues, does anyone have any item they would like to remove from the consent calendar?
G.
Councilmember Gordon, were you?
G.
Okay, we're going to remove item G and turn that into 8.1. And then Councilmember Letters,
H.
All right, and we're going to remove H and turn that into 8.2. And seeing no other requests, do we have a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent calendar?
Yes, I move that we approve the consent calendar and approval of the agenda with removing item 8G becoming 8.1 and 8H becoming 8.2.
All right, so let's go ahead and vote. Did the vote go through? Yes. Okay.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you all. That is going to bring us to our item 8.1, formally consent item G, which is to adopt a resolution approving the First Amendment to Participation Agreement. I'm going to paraphrase, Home Investment Owners Program Regulatory Agreement, Affordable Housing Covenant, Estoppel Certificate. I'm looking at my colleague over here. And we'll go ahead and invite up, I believe we have our housing director here. I'm not going to read that whole thing. But it's a affordable housing project agreements item. Actually, yes, I'm sorry, I lost my sense of the process. Councilmember Gordon pulled the item. I'll have her introduce it, and then we do have staff here to answer questions.
Thank you so much for reading that for me. I would like to know if you can go ahead and go into details of what this is about and what is the ask. And I know that I did ask a couple questions earlier, but I just wonder if you can please share a little bit more about it. And also, too, is it still going to remain affordable housing? And I don't know if this is your scoop of thing. Maybe this is Gillian, Ms. Hayes. Is this also the property that is under investigation about a concern of maybe of contamination from the dry cleaning? Is this property connected to that? I just want to clarify. It was a rumor, so I just want to clarify. Thank you.
Good evening, council members and mayor. Alicia Jones, housing director with the city of Vallejo, and I have assistant city manager Gillian Hain here with me. The item that you have before you is actually the Marina Towers property where the new owners would like to refinance the property to take out a HUD-backed loan to rehab the property for the tenants at Marina Towers. The item you have before you is actually 4 different amendments to the existing agreements. One of the amendments would be for the Affordable Housing Covenant, which is a request from the city to subordinate to the agreement, subordinate to the city's interest into HUD in the event of a default, meaning if the owners default on the loan, the city would subordinate to HUD as far as repayments are concerned. And Gillian, please jump in if you need to. Okay. Amendments to the participation agreement, which is the owner is asking for the city to execute a participation agreement to include HUD subordination agreement, which subordinates the city to the interest in HUD in event of default. That's number 1 and 2. And also there's a home regulatory agreement on the property where there was previously a home loan that has since been paid in full by the Marina Towers, and the regulatory agreement that's existing, the owner is requesting that the city agree to include a HUD rider to the regulatory agreement and no subordination to the loan from the city. The fourth item is the estoppel to the parking lease. There's a parking lot adjacent to the property, which there are spaces for the residents of Marina Towers, and so the Marina Towers are asking for there's no change in the terms, and they're asking for the parking lease to remain, pretty much to remain. Those are the 4 items for those for Marina Towers. Is there anything in particular you would like me to answer?
Well, do you have something you want to add, Gillian?
I mean, I can just break it down pretty simply. The Marina Towers home loan was paid off recently when the new owners came in and bought the property, but we still have these affordability and agreements on the property so that it remains affordable, and it will. Once they're going in to apply for an additional HUD loan to do some of these upgrades, then we have to just amend all of the regulatory agreements that are on the property to ensure that the HUD loan gets paid back if they default. So that's just a very simple way of saying it will still remain affordable. Our agreements will still, for the parking and the affordability, will still remain on the property. We're just adding the ability for the new owners to get that HUD loan to rehabilitate the property.
Thank you. So 2 questions. Is there a new name to it? Because, okay. And then my last question is, is their lease up? The 55 years is up or close to it?
No, the 55-year, no, it's not. There's quite some, I believe these loans were taken out in 2005, I believe. So there's a long period before the
Good.
affordability period expires.
Thank you so much. I wanted to clarify. That was some of the residents were nervous about that, and so that's why I asked the question, so they can hear that they don't have to worry. Thank you so much. I appreciate your help. Excellent.
Thank you, and I just wanted to thank you for the explanation, because I realized as I attempted to paraphrase the name of the item, the lead was buried. It's an item about Marina Towers refinancing. And
Yes.
I see Councilmember Ledeju and the Vice Mayor both on comments or request to comment. Councilmember Ledeju?
Yes.
Oh, and then the city attorney too. Do you mind going after her or something? All right, let's go ahead, Councilmember Ledeju.
Okay. So on the ground lease, with the fact that we have a new owner and we're doing a HUD loan, are we going to renew that ground lease, or are we just running out the current ground lease? And I know when you have a HUD loan, there's a certain time period in terms of the ground lease, and the goal is that, I'm not sure, particularly for this project, that land is always, those assets are always remain deeply affordable. So is that the case with this property?
So first question, I believe the parking lease will remain as it was reconfigured at the new ownership and the loan payoff. So that parking lease remains. And just for your information, in that parking lease is also a pullout option for the city if we move forward with any sort of development. There's 20-something, I can't remember off the top of my head, maybe 26, 27 parking spaces out of the entire lot that are allocated to Marina Towers, but there is an opportunity if the city wants to develop the lot as a whole that we can pull out. So that will remain the same. And then the second question was if it was remaining deeply affordable.
So that's fine, you've answered it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
by simply what you've stated.
Councilmember Palmares.
It's okay.
Sorry, City Attorney Neb.
It's okay.
The
I can
request
go-
list
I'll
goes
go at
away.
the end.
Okay,
It's fine.
Councilmember Palmares.
Thanks for the presentation. So I understand this will remain affordable, but will there be an actual change to the rent?
No, not at this time. The rents are determined by the property owner, not the city. So we wouldn't know what the rents are, and if they ask for a rent increase or something like that, they would have to abide by the state requirements as far as rent increase, in addition to the HUD regulations.
I see. So I guess another way to ask, have you heard any conversations that they would increase it anytime soon?
Yeah, you can come to the mic.
Okay. You're in Charles and tell us nothing.
This is convenient.
Do we have questions specific to the owner of the property? Councilmember Palmares, did you have a question specific for the owner of the property?
Yes, since you're, yeah. So do you anticipate that rents will increase in the near future?
So the property in question is 100% covered by an existing Section 8 HAP contract. So with that in place, the residents only pay 30% of their income. So the rents at the property are changing, but if the resident's income doesn't change, their portion of rent doesn't change. So the resident paid portion of rent won't change.
They won't feel that. Okay.
Yeah, they won't. It won't be
Got it.
passed to them at all.
Perfect.
So are these PPVs?
No, this is a existing project-based Section 8 contract.
Okay, so then, as I said, the
PPVs.
project remains deeply
Yes.
affordable under HUD regulations, and it is true that you only can charge, the residents will only pay 30% of their income
Yes.
at all times.
Yeah, that is
And-
correct.
But my question is, with that, on the particular, who owns the land?
The Marina Towers building land, we don't own that. This is the new owner.
So you own the land?
Correct.
And
Correct.
and the assets on top? Okay.
Correct.
All right, go ahead, City Attorney Neb.
Thank you. So a couple of things. Just wanted to acknowledge the owner, the owner's lender, and HUD for working with us on making sure that our affordability covenants remained protected. Those are the ones that are with the city, so this project has multiple affordability covenants on it, but the city covenants we wanted to make sure remained protected. So that was something that we worked on for a while to make sure that that would happen. And the second thing I wanted to point out to the council is at your dais this evening, you have and there are some in the back of the room, substituted First Amendment to the Affordable Housing Covenant. That speaks to that HUD rider, et cetera. That document is in front of you because the one that was in the packet inadvertently included some comments and was not a clean copy. So the clean copy is in front of you, and we ask that that be part of your motion this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you. Did you have something you want to share? Because I see you have your paper in front of you.
Oh, I just had, I thought that there was going to be a presentation, but I think it got old, so.
I think we're all right.
Thank you. Do
Yeah.
you have your business card?
I do not.
Well, I want to thank you so much. Make sure you give me, if you can give me the information. Thank you so much for working with the city. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing wonderful things. And when you finish the work, I hope you invite us so that we can come and see the new visual that our residents get to appreciate.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you so
course.
much.
Yes, absolutely. We really appreciate the city's involvement and, your guys' willingness to work with us as well.
Thank you to the staff as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think we're ready for a motion on this item.
Okay. I move that we adopt a resolution approving the First Amendment to the Participation Agreement, the First Amendment to the City of Vallejo Investment Owners Program Regulatory Agreement, the First Amendment to the Affordable Housing Covenant and the Estoppel Certificate, consent to encumber, and agreement to provide notice which will enable the owner, Marina Tower Investments LP, to refinance the Marina Tower Apartments, an affordable housing project for seniors, and provide rehabilitation to the apartments with the revised documentation provided at this meeting.
All right, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Sorry, Councilman, accidental. All right, that is going to bring us to our new item 8.2, which is notice of intent to amend, I'm going to read this one in full. Amend fiscal year 2024-25 general fund budget to appropriate $52,000 of unassigned general fund balance to supplement entertainment funding for the 2025 Solano County Fair. And this was pulled by Councilmember Letters, so I'll turn it over to you first.
Thank you. I would just like to walk through the process, how this came about, and also the benefit to the city.
Yes, thank you. And I will note that it's my administrative oversight that this appeared on consent. This item was added a little bit late to the packet, and it's really an action item. It's not a routine item. We're non-controversial, which is our standard for consent, so I appreciate that this was pulled. So just as a little bit of background, a number of members of the community have expressed that they think it would be a benefit to the community in a number of different ways to seek to have higher profile entertainers come to Vallejo, which had been a traditional practice in the past, but that we've moved away from. The benefits would include providing, community and gathering opportunities for members of the public. It would also provide some economic development benefits, and in addition, be hopefully part of essentially a marketing campaign, which we know we want to do to change the narrative a little bit about Vallejo and get Vallejo back on the regional radar for positive things. So for some time, various community members have been kind of promoting this idea that it would be great to have more high-profile entertainers return to the city. We do have some large entertainment events. Most of those are held on Mare Island through private producers. We also have some local artists, including some prominent ones, but we haven't had a regular program of higher profile entertainment events in Vallejo for some time. And so, in particular, a well-known local event producer, Mrs. Skari Sawandi, had been creating a vision for how to reenact and revitalize this kind of series of higher profile entertainment. And in talking with Mr. Kearney, visiting the fair recently with a number of stakeholders and talking about its vision and investments to become a more active entertainment venue and a regional attractor and economic engine, Ms. Ascari was thinking about options to create this series of events and ultimately came to the city with a proposal. And initially, I think she was thinking about perhaps having a series of events at the fairgrounds separate from the annual fair to try and bring in higher profile entertainers. That transitioned into a different vision, which was to seek some supplementary funding for the fair to bring in those higher profile entertainers as part of the fair and kind of magnify the impact of the fair. We don't really have a funding program that is directed towards something like this, where a community member can come to us with an economic development idea. The closest thing we have is we have a community special events grant program where community event organizers or local government, other local government organizations like GVRD can submit an application to the city to receive funding to subsidize an event they're going to be putting on. So that's how well-known community events like Waterfront Weekend, Juneteenth, and others, the holiday festival, those are how those programs are subsidized. There's an application period for participation for submitting a proposal as part of that process that runs from January through March. There was not a proposal submitted by the fairgrounds or Ms. Sawandi for this particular funding, and so we are bringing it to the City Council for your consideration kind of outside of that program. Also, an organization might make such a request as part of the regular budget process, but given that they're seeking funding for events at the fair, which is going to be happening in June, that couldn't be integrated into the regular budget consideration. So this is a bit of an unusual time to be bringing forward a funding request, but this is the only opportunity to present it. This was the only kind of pathway to present it given the timing. So Councilmember Lettigiou asked some questions about what impact this additional city investment might have on the fairgrounds, ticket sales, and the like. And so the proposal is, or the request is, for $52,000 to supplement the existing fair budget to bring in entertainment. And it would be focused on, the fair will run from Thursday through Sunday. And the city investment would be focused on increasing the budget for the entertainment on Thursday night and the entertainment on Saturday night. And the fair is expecting that this city investment that'll help bring in higher profile performers would increase fair participation by about 1,000 people on each of those 2 nights, and generate an additional $90,000 for the fair. Because we thought it might be a topic of conversation or of interest to the city, we asked the fair whether it might be possible to have a revenue sharing arrangement regarding this investment. The fair responded that they'd be able to have a 20% revenue sharing arrangement. So if the participation is increased by the numbers that were described, then the city would receive offsetting return of revenue of the amount of something like $24,000, making the net investment of the city, let me double check my numbers, I think that's not, sorry, return of $18,000, making the net investment to the city $34,000. So that's how this all came along. It's really I guess the culmination from my perspective of a long conversation that has been happening since I arrived about a year ago of how to regenerate our entertainment economy, of which there are multiple people now having conversations. So that's the background. Ms. Ascari is here. Mr. Kearney, who was up earlier, although I don't know if he introduced himself, the executive director of the fair, are also here to answer any questions about it.
All right, questions from council. Councilmember Lettigiou, go ahead.
So how do we anticipate that such requests as these are part of our, after this time, part of our normal process and considered with due diligence and care?
We had talked, when I had first talked with Ms. Ascari about it, we had talked about her presenting a proposal that we could incorporate into the budget process in the same way that if other community-based organizations or other individuals want to have a special project funded by the city, I would encourage them to bring it to the city council members so it could be considered as part of the budget process. The way that the vision evolved in this case to incorporate it as part of the fair, the timing didn't allow for it to be part of that. I also think it is something, this is a little bit of a different arrangement than our normal community event sponsorship because it involves the fair, but it's also potentially something that could compete through the normal community events grant program. So I think either of those 2 avenues, I think it was that the vision took shape, at a particular time, and the event is such that it didn't fit into either of those 2 processes.
Thank you and fully understand.
All right, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I fully support this. I think that it's important to realize the impact that this could have on the fairgrounds. It would show the city's support of the fairgrounds. I know they're taking steps to improve their infrastructure, restrooms and things, and so I think it's important to show this leap of faith and to try to bring that high-level entertainment back to Vallejo. So I fully support this.
Councilmember Gordon.
Yes, can Mr. Ascari come up? Thank you so much. I know you do a lot of work already in the community, and you have been for years, and we truly want to say thank you to you publicly for all the work you've done and maybe not get the proper recognitions. So I want to say thank you to you from the bottom of my heart for your commitment to this city. You're welcome. Can you tell me a little bit more about your vision here, yourself personally?
Yeah, like Mr. Murray said, but first, before I say that, I want to tell him thank you. Because when I reached out to him, I didn't think or know if he would be supportive of what we were trying to do, the vision that I was trying to do. So last October, so you'll know the whole process, last October, met with Tom Keeney, talked about I wanted to bring entertainment into the fairgrounds, and that it was a time for a change to do something different. And so set up a meeting with Andrew, former Mayor Robert McConnell, former Council Member Ariola, myself, my mentor dealing with lots and lots of music, Cassandra James, and some other folks. So anyway, we talked about the vision of making this a true destination community. We have lots of artists, we do a lot of things, but people still are driving past our community, regardless of what people say. That's the reality. So my whole purpose was bringing the city together and bringing the fairgrounds together. And as an event planner that has done national entertainment and brought it into this community, from the Whispers to Sheila E. and Regina Bell and some others, I felt that I had the ability to be able to do it. So put down the proposal, finally met with Mr. Murray on Zoom last Monday, I think it was. And to my surprise, he liked what I had put down in the proposal. I was shocked and excited at the same time. So, and I have to tell you what I did. So after I got off of it, the call, I went to my room where the sun is, sat down on the ground, and I gave homage for you being able to see the vision and to be able to hear me and to be able to listen. Because quite often in this community, they don't see us, they don't hear us, and they don't listen. And as an event planner who believes that this is my anointing, that meant more to me than you'll ever know. So I was able to connect with Sister Rhonda, Sister Deborah, and Brother Joe Jones, and others to understand what this community needs. Peter Berginger, thank you for the blessing, for saying your words, because this is something that is needed and we've been fighting for a long time. So I hope you all agree. I hope that answers some of your question.
So why did it happen before? You said you met for a long time, so what happened before?
Nothing happened before. We have to go through a process.
Let's see.
So, a meeting here, the city manager's busy, off doing things, everybody's doing stuff, so then we come to another meeting, right? And then Christmas, and all of the above, Kwanzaa, all the above is in the middle of that. So.
No worries. I'm 100% for this. Thank you.
Ashe.
Councilmember Matias.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'll just make a couple of quick points, and I'll go back to our first budget workshop, where I talked about the need for this city council in particular to start investing and activating other parts of the city, not just the greatest hits that we all know and talk about every year, like the downtown and the waterfront and these other areas. I think we have to start thinking more broadly to activate other parts of the economy. Number one was that. Number two, in the same way that we're making this investment, and I appreciate City Manager, the profit sharing agreement, which I think can be a model for other opportunities down the line. I do think that we can't really take these opportunities in isolation, meaning let's look at that whole corridor and look at what are ways we can pull public works and other departments to make some additional investments in that area. So if we have folks coming in, not just from across the city, but from across the Bay Area, that we are putting our best foot forward as a city. That's number two, and I would want to see that reflected in the upcoming budget. And then number three, to Ms. Ascari and the Fair Association, I would also encourage you guys to really leverage Visit Vallejo and some of these organizations that are doing marketing on behalf of the city, so that we're getting this out to as many people as possible without putting undue burden on one person to have to promote the whole thing. So I'm fully supportive, and I appreciate this being elevated. Thank you.
Thanks. Vice Mayor
Just one quick comment based on the previous comments, and I agree. I think investing in that corridor is a good idea, and I don't know that this agenda topic fares for that, but with the construction happening this summer, I hope that we're taking a look at the rest of Fairgrounds Drive, because it is horrendous to drive down that road, and we're going to have a lot of traffic flowing the other way because of that intersection. So I hope somebody in the city is taking a look at that street.
Yeah, thanks for raising that. And I think a little bit of what I was going to say has already been said. I think what I want to see us do going forward is establish a clear process for how we take requests and how we evaluate them, and what our priorities are and how we want to spend that money. And I think the lack of a process to this point, Mrs. Scari shouldn't be punished for. And in fact, I think this does a lot to rectify some of the inequities that we've had with how the city has funded and supported events in the past. But I agree with my colleagues that I don't like the idea of taking these in isolation, but rather I'd like us to think about how we look at the events program, any grant programs we have, particularly as we are dealing with a structural deficit that we're having we're having to really do more with less. So figuring out those opportunities, how to leverage PB, how to leverage other grants. And I think specifically, given, we just heard from folks from iHeart, how do we take requests and prioritize? Has iHeart made a request, and what's the status of that? So I would like us to really solidify our processes. And I say that in support of what I think does a great deal to start to make that change at this time. Councilmember Matulik, I think I saw you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. So I concur with a lot of what's been said, and just as this council, one of the priorities has been economic development, and having events like this is part of that trigger that we're looking at. To start that. Maybe small initially, but we're looking into this to similar to how Pisa Sinayan started. It started out as a small event. Now look at it. It's one of the bigger events. So that's what we're aspiring to, is to get to that level of events to where it's going to be not only just a local thing, but it's going to be where people are coming around from the whole Bay Area to come visit us for stuff like that. So I'm looking for this to be a growing activity over the years. And to answer Councilmember, the Vice Mayor's question about the traffic and people are hearing about the fairgrounds, the divergent diamond lane that's happening. And I think there's and the fact that there hasn't been that much information on it right now. I've been working, or I guess we have been working with STA, because they're going to be the bearer of sharing this information. So hopefully with this on the horizon, we want to make sure that this information is getting out for that construction. And to the Vice Mayor's point or question, that whole, according to STA, that whole from the divergent lane all the way up to Redwood is going to be upgraded, let's put it that way. So I think there are bigger and better things moving forward with this. So I think this will just be a culmination with these events happening and with the upgrade with the fairgrounds and the divergent lane or divergent diamond happening there, that it's just bigger and better things that are for that particular area of Vallejo right now.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Councilmember Letters, do you have another comment?
Yes. To the point that I made around process, I just want to go back there. I think it's really important. I've witnessed many conversations with Mrs. Scari and the desire and the need to move entertainment forward, and I've heard other members in the community who have also tried to move programs forward, and it's been very difficult through our existing process. And so I want to make sure, City Manager Mary, I thank you for honoring her request, but I definitely want to make sure that we have a robust process, one that is transparent, feels very fair, and meets the diverse needs of our entire community. And I think we need to do some work around that area.
Thank you. I do see some hands in the audience. I think we can take a couple of quick public comments on the item. I see we have our fair director. If you want to come up, go ahead.
Mr. Carney.
And Mr. Joe. Okay. Oh, you were pointing to him. Okay.
Okay, so as I was coming down, someone asked, when is the fair? June 12th through 15th. But I also wanted to give you some hope. I had the opportunity to have the Senior Vice President for a very large entertainment company tour the grounds. So Live Nation is coming to the Solano County Fairgrounds. They're very excited and are. So we will be looking at the transformation process, going from something that has been largely forgotten into something that can really become an economic driver in the area. So they're looking at starting slowly with only 8,000 people, but the target is to ramp it up to as many as 80,000 within the next 5 years. They are committed to doing infrastructures, investments in the property. I have already met with county staff, explaining to them what this opportunity looks like and asking for their assistance in expediting all of the little permitting things and all of those things that can really mess up this wonderful dream for the area. So as the city is involved in it too, I will be coming and seeing you all, and I will try to be a little bit less remiss in sharing the good news from you, because this is a wonderful opportunity. We have 4 of their events on my calendar for this year, and we have 8 of them scheduled for next year. So Vallejo is about to become a player. So the faith that you've shown in the community is going to be paying off very shortly. So I just wanted to give you some good news, because there's so much bad news in the world today, but I wanted to let you know that there is a word of hope. And we're working very, very hard, my staff and I, to try to bring this all about.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions I might be able to answer about the process or what we go through?
I think we're all right, yeah.
Okay.
We have we have a public commenter. If you can come up quickly, please. We're kind of inventing a process right now since we don't know how to take public comment on newly added items.
Mayor Source and City Council, this is the first time I got to address you as a new council. I'm Joe Joyce. I am a director for the Solano County Fairgrounds, and a proud director. We have another of our directors, Ms. Rhonda Rashawn, and our CEO here today. I do stand here proud of what our fair has become. I'm humbled by your offer today also, and we are proud. I'm also an awardee or a member of Team Hope, and we do receive a sponsorship from this program specifically every year for the last couple years for Battle of the Bay, which is one of the largest of the awardees. And we bring a car show here every year, June 7th. So thank you for that. I'm also part of Waterfront Weekend, which receives a donation from this program. So I'm very aware of how that process does work. I was glad to see that there was existing funding, and we're going to receive some of that here. Part of the Entertainment Committee, part of the Grounds Committee. I work very, very hard every day throughout our community here in Fairfield and part of the Solano County. I want you to know we do appreciate your concern for the fair. I also want you to know that part of the fair's mission and the partnership with Vallejo, and I know I'm going to run out of time because I talk a lot, but your tourism dollars, right, our overnight stays in the hotels, right, those all come back to the city of Vallejo. Although we're Solano County Fairgrounds and we're run by an association of volunteers, right, our success is Vallejo's success, right? All the programs that we put on with the nonprofits, right, those are benefits to our community. When we work with Lori Wilson or Boys and Girls Empowerment, right, or the American Red Cross, those are benefits to the community. So we are working partners with you. So we do appreciate everything that you do for us, all right? Make no mistake, you guys are always welcome. We are the gathering place for the community, but we are not the Vallejo Fairgrounds anymore. We are Solano County. We are the gathering place. We embrace you all and love you all, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I think, yes, one more question.
Mrs. Scari. No, Mrs. Scari. Is she there? Mrs. Scari. I apologize. I just can't pull up the staff report, so we're bargaining with each other over here. Can you, I just would like to know, is this something that you are planning to propose on an annual basis?
I would like to if things work out well.
Can
you hear me now? Okay. I would like to if things work out well.
Okay.
You know, coming together and have a realistic meeting of the minds. I would like that.
Okay, thank you. That was my one question.
All right, I think we're ready for a motion on this item.
Okay, thank you. I would like to motion that we amend the fiscal year 2024-2025 general.
This is step one
this-
of the
I'm sorry,
two-step
this is step
process,
one.
sorry.
I'm sorry, so I move that we approve the notice of intent to amend the fiscal year 2024-2025 general fund budget to appropriate $52,000 of unassigned general fund balance to supplement entertainment funding for the 2025 Solano County Fair, Step 1. And do we want it? And I guess we would like to request that the payback that is coming to the city on behalf of the fairgrounds, we'd like to reinvest into future programming of the arts program for the fair. Are we allowed to do that?
I think this is only the notice of intent, but I think when you take the actual action at step 2, that can be part of that action at step 2.
We'll include it for good measure here. And
Sure.
yeah,
Doesn't
we're-
matter, but yeah,
we're,
we'll bring it forward.
And then we're ready to vote.
I'm missing a vote. There we go. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you all. That's going to bring us to our action calendar, and I'll ask our city clerk to please announce item 9A.
Adopt a resolution approving the equipment purchase agreement with LN Curtis and Sons for protective equipment and tools for the fire department and police department in the not to exceed amount of $1,100,000. I think it's probably $1,100,000, and authorizing city manager to execute the same.
All right, thank you. And we'll go ahead and open public comment on this item. Anyone wishing to address the council on this item can sign up at the kiosk or raise your hand online. And I believe we have Fire Chief Gonzalez here with a presentation. We're here to answer questions, one or the other. Mostly to answer questions. I don't know if the mic's on. So we have our fire chief available for questions on this item. Do we have questions on this item? I'm seeing Councilmember Palmares' light, but I'm not seeing Councilmember Palmares. So we will let him ask his question when he gets back. Does anyone have questions in the interim? Maybe it's a flag that he's going to be back. I feel bad if he does have
It's
a
a mic
question.
drop.
We do have a public comment clock that is ticking. Does anyone else have questions at this time? All right, with that, do we have any in-person speakers or online speakers yet?
No in-person speakers.
All right. Well, he's got about a minute to get back if he does have a question, and once this public comment clock runs out, we'll get a motion. I guess while we are waiting, I'll ask: is this something that we had already budgeted for, but we're just approving the contract for?
Correct, Madam Mayor.
Okay, just clarifying.
Well,
All
I'd like
right.
to take time to say thank you for your service.
Thank you, Councilmember Gordon.
We don't know where. There's no presentation.
There's not a
We were just-
presentation on this.
He's coming in, he has a question. All right, we shall wait for him. That's just really poor, yeah, oh well. You gotta add some levity every once in a while to these meetings, I guess. It's gonna be really awkward when he comes back out. And bad timing, Councilmember Palmares, no rush, go right ahead.
I got nothing, thank you.
We're nothing if we're not inclusive. Your green light was on, we wanted to make sure you didn't have a question. I think we're ready for a motion on this item.
I move that we adopt a resolution approving the equipment purchase agreement with L.N. Curtis and Sons for protective equipment and tools for the fire department and police department in the not-to-exceed amount of $1,100,000 and authorizing the city manager to execute the same.
All right, we're ready to vote. We deal with serious issues, but you can't take yourselves too seriously all the time. So we got to have some laughs. All right, I think we're ready.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chief Gonzalez. That is going to bring us to item B, and I'll ask our city clerk to announce this item, please.
Adopt a resolution adopting a mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Mare Island Causeway Bridge Preventative Maintenance Project, approving the project plans and specifications for the project, awarding a construction contract to California Engineering Contractors in the amount of $19,869,755,000, and rejecting all of their bids, and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract.
Thank you very much. So this is our contract that we previously discussed for the Mare Island Causeway Bridge repairs, and we have Transportation Manager Mark Helmbrecht here. Do we have a presentation on this item? We're just here to answer questions.
Just briefly.
All right, go ahead.
Evening, Mayor, Council, Mark Helmbrecht, Transportation Program Superintendent, standing in for Public Works Director Melissa Tigbow. Action item 9B, Mare Island Causeway Bridge Preventive Maintenance Project. It's asking you to do 5 things. Adopt the mitigated neg deck. Those details are in attachments 2 and 3. We're asking to approve the project plans and specs. Again, those are available through a link in the agenda packet. Award the construction contract to California Engineering Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $19,869,755. They are the low, responsive, and responsible bidder on this project. Reject all other bids and authorize the city manager to execute the awarded contract. We've presented this several times. This project's been in the works since 2012 when Caltrans bridge inspection reports identified repairs were needed. Projects included in the Caltrans Bridge Preventive Maintenance Program and has subsequently been awarded almost $23 million in federal grants. The remainder of the project's $28.3 million budget is local funds consisting of CFD funds, Mare Island CFD, Measure P funds, and bridge construction funds. With your action at the last meeting, the project's now fully funded, and we can take this action tonight and award the contract. Contract was bid in August. We opened bids in November of '24. Our second lowest bidder was almost 25% higher at $25 million. And our lower bidder agreed to hold their pricing through May. So we need to take this action now and keep this on track. We expect to proceed directly into contracting, get the work started this summer. We're anticipating the construction could take up to 24 months. I have our project manager, senior engineer Sam Kumar here with me tonight. We're happy to answer questions, and we ask that you adopt the resolution.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council on this item? Councilmember Matias.
I just have one question. Thank you for the quick presentation. So we have this contract for $19 million, and we got $25 million in funding, either 22 or 25 million. What are we doing with that gap or the delta between what we're awarding tonight and the committed funding we have for this program?
Right. There was previously awarded bridge funding as well that developed the plan, specs, and estimates. We've spent more than $1 million to date, $2 million to date, getting us to this point, right? In addition, during construction, we want to have a contingency. Things happen in construction, so there's a contingency portion of the budget. And then there's also construction management and inspection, which is a significant line item of almost $3 million in there.
So I guess my follow-up to that is, if you have some remainder at the end of the project, where does that go?
It would go back to Measure P.
Okay, thank you.
It is. Vice Mayor Bergenser.
Just a quick question about the project. Will the bridge be closed at any time for people to transfer over the bridge? Is there a schedule if it's going to take 24 months?
I'm going to let Sam take that one.
Hi, Mayor, council members. Bridge will always have one lane open all time.
Okay. So it'll be like a stoplight, so people will go each direction, but on one lane?
Yes.
One attempt, okay.
That is correct. That is the reason why we have 2 years of construction.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that question. We'll have to make sure that we get that communication out so everybody is aware of it, and especially if there are events out on Mare Island, that we publicize that. Thank you very much. All right, I'm not seeing anyone else. Are we ready for a motion on this item?
I move that we that we adopt a resolution adopting a mitigated negative declaration and mitigating monitoring and reporting program for the Mare Island Causeway Bridge preventative maintenance project, approving the project plans and the specifications for the project, awarding a construction contract to California Engineering Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $19,869,755, and rejecting all other bids, and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract.
All right, and we're ready to vote.
That motion carries with Councilmember Letter opposed.
All right, thank you. That is going to bring us to, oh, I forgot, do we have a public comment on that item?
None in person.
And none online?
None online.
That was a fortunate omission on my part. I apologize. All right, we are going to go to, we're trying to move. We're going to go to item 9C. I'll ask City Clerk Abramson to please announce this item.
Adopt a resolution creating a council ad hoc subcommittee to work with city staff on settlement agreement, police reform efforts, and appointment of 3 members of the council to the ad hoc subcommittee.
All right, and this is a follow-up on the item we had back in February. We have Chief Taw here. We'll go ahead and open up public comment on this item. As with all of our items, you can sign up at the kiosk or virtually by raising your hand. And Chief Taw, do we have a presentation this evening, or are you available to answer questions?
Yeah, we do not have a presentation, so the information is in the staff report, but I'm available for questions.
Yeah. All right. So I personally, we already discussed this. We gave direction on what we wanted to see that committee consist of and its duties be, and then we have 2 tasks. We need to approve the creation of the committee, and then we need to make the appointments. And my suggestion maybe is that we do them in 2 separate motions, or should we just do it all in one motion?
I think you can talk about it separately if you want to do that, but there's one resolution. It has blanks in it for the appointments.
Okay, so we'll do all one motion. And my suggestion, we have 2 committees on the agenda tonight, and we have the ad hoc subcommittee on police reform, and then we have the standing public safety committee. And so we have definitely a huge amount of interest on the council in being engaged in public safety issues. And my suggestion is going to be that we appoint different people to the ad hoc subcommittee on police reform and to the public safety committee in order to get more of us engaged. And we'll get to item D when we get there, but we might need to make a change to that committee. So just acknowledging that there's more interest in this committee than we're going to have seats on the subcommittee. So I have a suggestion. I see Councilmember Gordon. Go ahead.
As I did before, I would like to volunteer to be on this particular committee.
Right. And Vice Mayor Bergenser, did you?
I was just the same. I was going to volunteer. I've been pushing for this commission to
Yeah.
come about, this ad hoc subcommittee, so I would really like to be a part of this subcommittee, ad hoc
Yeah.
subcommittee.
So my suggestion, and I hear you, and I know Councilmember Gordon, you expressed interest, and I thought about this, and I thought that one of the ways we could do it to be fair, again, with the 2 committees in mind, is the vice mayor did request this item. So I think it's only fair that he be on the subcommittee. Councilmember Letajou is the liaison to the Police Oversight and Accountability Commission. So I think it makes sense for her to be on the subcommittee. And then I have been meeting with the DOJ now for about 3 years in previous roles and as mayor. And so I am interested in being on the subcommittee. And I know that it's difficult because there's more interest than there are spaces on the committee, but that was the fair way that I felt like we could allocate those slots. And then my suggestion would be with the Public Safety Committee would be to appoint other council members other than the 3 of us so that we have more coverage and more representation from folks. So any comments on that or other ideas from council? Go ahead, Councilmember Matias.
I sort of want to acknowledge the fact that Councilmember Gordon has expressed interest in that. In that committee, and so I don't know the process, but I do think we should vote because obviously there was more interest than seats. So we should. I don't know if she's still interested, but I do feel like that needs to be honored too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And my suggestion, my recommendation and suggestion would be to definitely, should we go forward with my recommendation, would be to appoint Councilmember Gordon to the Public Safety Committee, should she be interested in that committee as well. Councilmember Gordon, are you interested in that? Okay, so you're not interested in the other committee?
I was interested in this one.
Okay. Well, I can move.
Yeah, remember when we brought this to this attention, I had volunteered to do it.
Yeah. And so we have more interest than there are spaces, so we're going to have to.
So I'm more than
make it
happy to
different.
step off. So,
I think that it just becomes a little difficult with you being the representative on the Police Oversight Commission. We can do that, though, if you want to. I think that, yeah.
yeah, it's not a problem.
Okay.
So I'll put you on the public safety instead.
Yeah, it's not a big deal to me.
Okay.
Because I don't have time.
All right.
Thank you, Councilmember. I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Do we want to go ahead and move on that item?
And thank you also.
I move that we adopt a resolution creating a council ad hoc subcommittee to work with the city staff on settlement agreement, police reform efforts, and appointing Mayor Source, Vice Mayor Braganzer, and Councilmember Gordon as the 3 members of the city council to the ad hoc subcommittee.
All right, let's go ahead and vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you all. That's going to bring us to our Public Safety Standing Committee. Oh, I did it again with the public comment. Did we have any public comment on that item?
There's no, I checked before we voted,
Oh
but there
my
was no public
goodness,
comment.
I am trying so hard to move us quickly. This is unanimous support from my colleagues on my negligence. All right, so we are going to open up public comment for item D, and I'm going to ask Manny and the Vice Mayor to really remind me if there is anyone, and I'll ask the City Attorney to announce item 9D. Right.
City Clerk.
You know what? I'm
I
losing
know
my
what you
mind,
meant.
apparently. Go ahead, City Clerk.
Adopt a resolution appointing 2 members of the City Council to the Standing Public Safety Committee.
All right. It was because we had follow-up from the City Attorney on this item, and we still have the police chief available, but this item really came around because we realized that we had a standing public safety committee from probably about a decade ago. It was created with 3 members, with a membership of 3 members. It was reduced to 2 members a couple years later, and it has not been changed since. So we actually originally were going to appoint it with 3 members, but we've now realized that it only has 2. So we have a couple options tonight. We can either appoint 2 members to the Standing Public Safety Committee now and stop. We can appoint 2 members and then bring this back to add a 3rd member later. Or we can just hold it, wait, change it to 3 members and appoint the members then. And I would love to know if anyone has a preference. I know Council Members Matias and Palmares have expressed interest in this. No? Councilmember Palmares does not care. He will step off. So, preferences. Councilmember Matias.
So, I probably sound like a broken record, y'all. What I would want to see, because we're serving as council liaisons. You serve on, I don't know how many different committees outside of your usual responsibilities, but sooner rather than later, I'd like for us to really evaluate all of our boards and commissions. I know I've been saying that for 4 months now. And so I don't know what the mechanism is to bring that back, but I think that can help alleviate not just the responsibility on staff, but also on this body. And then it'll allow us to zero in and focus on the things that we need to focus on, the priorities we've kind of been hinting at or alluding to over these first 100 days. So I very much remain interested in being a part of this committee and would love an opportunity to be able to move that forward.
Thank you.
If my peers agree.
Councilmember Palmares.
I just want to clarify something. So is this public safety committee, is this the one that goes to Sacramento, like represent this. That's what's the name of
No,
that committee?
We voted. It's been an iterative process, but we voted previously when we did the original appointments to combine this standing committee and the public safety and quality of life ad hoc subcommittee.
I
So
see.
basically to fold that into this. And this is a standing committee, so this is one that would have open meetings, similar to the Mayor Island Committee, and I think that might be it, actually, the only standing committees we have. So this could be a body to help divide up the burden on city council. This could be a body that has things like the workshop that we held.
So who did we vote for last time for the one that was going to go to Sacramento?
We held it.
So previously it was myself and the mayor.
And myself.
And JR.
Yeah, so it was previously, we were off
Okay.
mic, but it was the previous ad hoc was the now Vice Mayor, Councilmember Tulik, and
So
then
so
former
that's
mayor.
gone now, or at least it's subsumed into this now.
Yeah, that is sunsetting.
And then, sorry, City Attorney?
So it won't roll into this without action, and the consequence and problem is that that was not envisioned to be a standing committee.
Yes.
Because a standing committee meets here and is subject to the Brown Act and all of those things. That was ad hoc because it was gonna, for lack of a better word, leave town and have some ongoing discussions in Sacramento.
So that's done now.
So it will sunset of its own accord on,
I think
When
this
it
fall
sunsets,
sometime.
it's sunset in November. It's created for 18 months.
Okay. So then this one is the one that was kind of in the shelf for a while, correct? And I think
And
me and Councilmember Bergenzer, we were the ones on it previously, right? So this is that one?
I
Now,
think
okay.
I think we may have actually had 3 people on it without realizing there were only 2. But it was not active. We have been making appointments to it, but it hasn't been active.
Okay. And so I guess this is the one-stop shop then. And I just want to be clear about this just for everyone's edification. So then this will be the public-facing, the interface with the community on all things public safety, with no special niches or anything like that. It's just anything related to public safety.
so as currently comprised, the answer to that question is kind of no. It has charges, very specific ones. Now, if the council has a wish to add another member, this goes back to the mayor's comments previously, like maybe when we want to bring it back and add a 3rd member back into it, then that could also be agendized for you to look at its duties and charge and modify that as well, if that is the desire of the council. If you're bringing it back anyway to add a 3rd member, that's the time to say, what other duties might it do, other than those that are enumerated before you they're in your packet, by the way. So it has enumerated duties that tied into stuff that has since either been concluded and happened, or some items that are ongoing. But that would be the pleasure of the council.
I would consider a 3rd member. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to have a 3rd member, Councilmember Matulik.
Thank you, Mayor. And yeah, I think I concur with that sentiment. I believe this should be a 3-person item. And I just want to be clear from the scope of this, because when you say public safety, it not only includes police, but fire. And so I just want to make sure there's a full understanding. And does that also include items that come as a request in front of these 2 public safety organizations that this body would be reviewing and, I don't know, authorizing or approving is the right word? So that's what I want to understand, is what is the full authorization of this public safety committee?
Whatever you want it to be when you bring it back. I'm sorry, that sounded a little bit flippant, but I don't want to try to limit you by what it currently says. If when you bring it back, you want to potentially expand it, theoretically it could be and expand its purpose into things that are not enumerated here. You could do that if this council agrees to that. at that time.
Yes, and thank you for that clarification. And so I think that bodes, I think that speaks to, I think the remaining 4 of us council members would be happy to be on it unless someone speaks against it, but I think that, but 3, I believe, I would recommend 3 being on it, so.
Yeah, that was going to be my next comment, actually, to see, so Councilmember Palmares, you are interested, or you would be happy to defer if others are interested?
I'm interested if someone really feels strongly about being in it and I'm the one that's holding people back, then I could fall back. That's totally fine.
Well, my suggestion is to leave it to the ones to give preference to the folks that aren't on the other one. And if we can fill it with 3, great.
Yeah, I say the same thing, and if not, an alternate, just in case something happens, maybe, just a thought.
Are we able to have an alternate with
That has the potential to create some Brown Act
Correct.
problems. So.
Well, so Councilmember Matulik, you're interested?
Yeah, I would be interested, but once again, I don't want to hold up this process.
And Councilmember Ledeju, what about you? Very strong feelings either way.
I'm interested because I'm on the POAC.
Yeah.
And that's part of the work that I'd like to do.
Okay, so we could do 2 things. We could either appoint 2 people now and then bring it back and add a 3rd and decide who the 3rd is going to be, or we could hold it off and bring it back to add a 3rd and do the appointments at that time. Those are really the 2 options we have. Councilmember Palmares.
So the 2 volunteers right now are Councilmember Matulik and Councilmember Ledeju, is that correct?
I think all 4 of the folks that aren't on the other one would be interested in serving on this, so 3 out of 4 would.
Yo, let's get this set up. Put Councilmember Matulik and Ledeju on it, and we can come back and revisit the 3rd. We need to
I'm
get
okay
this
with that.
moving.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Councilmember Palmares, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we can just bring it back, agree that we're going to do a 3rd, and have the discussion of what it's going to look like. And that's a real simple thing. Just do one time and be done.
All right. So that is, I don't know that we need a motion, actually. Do we need a motion? Or can we just give the direction?
If you want to bring the whole thing back and make the appointments at that time, you don't need a motion, just the direction.
All right. I think we're ready. We're adding a 3rd member, and we will appoint later. All right. Did we have public comment on this item?
There is no public comment. No
All right.
speakers.
That is going to bring us to our information calendar. We have our monthly Broadway project update. Thank you, Chief Todd, for being available. And I believe we have Ms. Hain here to present on this item. And while she comes up, we will go ahead and open up the public comment period for our Broadway project monthly update, item 10A, I believe it is. So again, members of the public are welcome to sign up at the kiosk or raise their hands online and can address council on this item. And once you are ready, Ms. Hain, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is your April scheduled monthly update on the project construction schedule and budget for the Broadway project. Again, just a quick background for those who may be watching. The property is on Broadway. It's 47 permanent supportive housing units. I am excited to say we are roughly 97% complete. Very great position to be in right now. This project is a partners are Firm Foundation, the nonprofit developer, with the operator Shelter Inc. Currently, Firm Foundation does own the property through construction, at which point the operator contract is approved and moving forward at City Council, the city will take ownership at the end of that construction timeline. Next slide. So no big changes since our update last month. We're still looking at a mid-May temporary certificate of occupancy with a full certificate of occupancy at the latest May 29th, construction completion, and then lease up 90 days from then. I'll get into some more detail. It could be sooner, but as we go into the next steps on construction over the next month, I'll kind of delineate where there's a little bit of flexibility in that timeline. The building is powered up. Right now, PG&E is working to install individual meters to each of those units. The housing department is going to do inspections mid next week for the PBV application that they have submitted. Next slide, please. Okay, so update on the budget. Original total secured funding, 27.1 million. So far, we've spent about 25 million, includes January, February, that have been billed but not paid yet. So there's 2.1 million remaining to still be paid. At this time, there is approximately about $600,000 of overruns on hard costs, construction costs. This largely has to do with approximately, as you know, the 5 weeks of delay for rain, January, February, March. We are hoping that in the next month we won't have any large rain delays. But those costs in the extension of those 5+ weeks have been mainly, additional site insurance, additional security, construction management, because of those delays. Some solutions, we did go back, partnering with Firm Foundation in our meeting this week, talking about areas that we could value engineer, cut any costs, asked Firm Foundation to look for outside partners, local nonprofits, healthcare partners. There's opportunities that they've been talking about sponsoring, like the community room with a business name on it, or sponsoring even just one unit, one housing unit to put their name in those different areas around the project. So there are final payments due to Firm Foundation, the developer, and Canon, the contractor, which will be held until we identify these funds. Construction is not going to stop because we have the small gap. It will continue. So just wanted to clarify that with City Council. Next slide, please. And as promised, here's like a very detail of the final steps that have to be completed before construction is considered and deemed complete. We're working on finalizing the operator contract right now. We're targeting May 13th to bring that to City Council for consideration. That's the operator agreement with Shelter Inc. And then after that is executed, we'll begin the lease up. There is a timeline in which Shelter will need to bring in all their materials and supplies, mattresses and office furniture and all of the things. So they'll need a couple weeks to do that before people can actually be housed. But very exciting how fast this is all happening. Exterior concrete walkways, sidewalks, and curbs are about 2/3 finished. There's a concrete pour this week and final concrete pours next week. To asphalt the parking lot, it's graded, it's ready, and once those curbs are poured next week, then we'll be asphalting those parking lots. Landscaping, irrigation is being installed currently this week and next week. Plants are arriving this week and next week, and then hopefully those plants will be being installed by the end of next week for that landscape. Interior, as I stated before, the power's on. PG&E finished the main meter and is finishing each unit meter individually this week. Elevator crews are coming next week to balance and program the big elevator, and then the state inspector has to get scheduled. This is where I talked about a little flexibility. We're projecting it will take about 2 weeks to schedule them, but it may be that they can show up, in 1 or 2 days. So that's where we kind of gave the worst case of the end of May, but it may be closer to mid-May depending on that inspector schedule. Floors 2, 3, and 4 are 99% complete. The only outstanding thing on 2, 3, and 4 is fire alarm systems. So those will be completed this week. So 2, 3, and 4 will be ready to be habitated. The first floor main corridor fire alarm devices are being worked on this week. Flooring will be installed next week on the whole first floor and the stairs. The community room, there's a wood ceiling that's being installed now. It's going to look really beautiful. Still need to install cabinets, which will be next week and the week after, and the countertops, and then the flooring over the next 2 weeks as well. There's other little minor trim pieces and finishes as well in this next 2 to 3 weeks that will happen. The emergency responder radio communication system is an important piece that's taken a little bit more time. But what that is basically, so in a big building like this, when a fire or police go in, we need to make sure and test their radio system so that they actually work inside every area of the building. You know how sometimes your cell phone might lose service in a building? We need to make sure that police and fire radio communications don't lose service. And so we tested that a few times over the last couple weeks, and there was a few blackout spots. So they're doing some boosters for the radio signals and waiting on that equipment and hoping that that comes quickly, and so that can be installed once the equipment is here relatively quickly. Next slide. So another piece of information I just wanted to give the council is that There are some opioid settlement funding revenues, that staff will be bringing forward with some options for you to look at. One of the options that we will be presenting to you is some of the furniture and some of the hard items and supplies that are needed to get this open and up and running. Those were not part of the construction budget or the operator budget. And so I think that will be a proposal from the staff end. And then as well, the project-based vouchers, once they have the inspections and they're given the go-ahead, then they will have to go to Housing Authority for approval of those vouchers if the authority so chooses. There's a 90-day lag period that HUD takes to review, and we're hoping that it's only 90 days because I just found out this afternoon that our HUD program manager was let go. I haven't even got to tell the city manager yet, but and the director of our region. So we still have Angelo Tom that we work with, but he will be working with every single city in this region. So our access to HUD and their assistance is going to be largely much less than it was before. So normally it's about a 90-day timeline before the PBV revenues are able to be used. And so we may ask for some opioid funding on that operator option as well. And then we'll be bringing Navigation Center and some other projects forward for council to consider. So I just wanted to bring that up. Heather from Firm Foundation is on the Zoom in case you have any specific questions for her. And then I'm also available as that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any public commenters on this item?
No, none in person.
We do have 2 public commenters, or 3 actually, online.
All right, let's go ahead and call them.
Okay, in order, it's going to go William Baker, followed by Tina, and then Terry. William, you first. Go ahead.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is William Baker. On Monday morning, I shared a list of questions and views regarding the Broadway project. The first question concerns the ongoing, growing, and undocumented developer fee paid to Foundation Community Housing. The initial developer fee in 2022 was $800,000. The fee increased in the summer of 2024 to $900,000. In January this year, a payment of $46,144 was made, described as a, quote, 3% developer fee on hard cost changes, end quote. Other than a line item in the home key application, no agreement between the city and Firm Foundation cover a developer fee. Is it industry practice for developers to pay themselves despite cost overruns and late delivery? Also, what developer takes a fee when it owns the building? Second, where is the contracted bi-monthly reporting? According to the Measure P loan, subsection 411, Firm Foundation must provide a report every 2 months. I have one set dated January. Where are these? Third, the staff reported the property lease and operating agreements have yet to be finalized with Shelter Inc. These discussions began in early October, more than 6 months ago. The council should be asking what is the cause for the delay. Finally, there are several important steps to complete before, as the staff reports insists, quote, ensure that the project and the project occupancy documents are ready once occupancy permits are issued for the intended lease-up process to begin, end quote. I caution you again to resist prematurely filling this building with chronically homeless individuals before making and completing all necessary preparations. These include, 1, the title needs to be transferred and approved by HCD. A comprehensive operating budget needs to be vetted for appropriateness and sustainability. 3, the project-based voucher income streams need to be confirmed and compared to the actual budget. And any shortfall needs to be underwritten. The city needs to develop a comprehensive risk management strategy as the building is held in its name and therefore subject to liability. A lot must be completed to prepare the Broadway project before the lease-up process begins. Please do all of these before the lease-up process begins. Lives depend on it. Mayor and Council, into this era of deliberately vague and do or die. These tactics undermine public perception and confidence in the city and its appointed and elected officials. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, next speaker, Terry. Please unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Hi. I read the April 22nd Broadway project report, listened to it tonight, but I also had seen something about there being a temporary certificate of occupancy date of April 15th. And I didn't see anything in tonight's or hear anything in tonight's report that was given in that regard. And so my concern is I'm familiar with grants. I know that if deadlines are not met, that they might not be granted. So, you know, is the city going to be held accountable if we have missed some kind of deadline? And what happened to that April 15th deadline? Did HCD extend the deadline, or, you know, I don't know what happened to it. That deadline was for the temporary certificate of occupancy. So if anybody can answer that question, I'd like to hear it.
We'll let you finish your comment, and then once we finish public comment, we'll ask any follow-up questions.
Thank you.
Did you have any more?
I'm done.
Comment.
I'm
okay.
done. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there was a third speaker, but they did lower their hand. So.
All right. Questions from council. And we did have two questions. We had one from Firm Foundation about the developer fees, and the other one about the April 15th HCD deadline. Do you want to address that one really quickly?
Sure, I can definitely address those. So developer fees were identified as 4.5% of the project cost. Originally, that was about $800,000. And with the increase in cost, I believe right now it's at $875,000. When you look on average in California for affordable housing developer fees, they usually range from 5 to 7%. And Firm is taking 4.5, which we thought was quite fair. They are not completely paid out yet. And I did put a little note at the end of my PowerPoint that we are holding back that final payment until we can find the outstanding funding that needs to be, that gap that needs to be closed. So they are not fully paid out yet. HCD did allow the deadline. If you remember, we did have an original TCO goal of April 15th, but then all that rain came that was pretty unexpected. And so that's why we're at mid-May now. And once our project is approved and completed, we're still be in good standing with HCD. We had a conversation with them that we can apply for future grants, no problem, as long as we complete this project. And 3% away, we're almost there.
All right, Councilmember Gordon.
I'm very excited about this project. We have a lot of unhoused individuals that would truly benefit from this project. When you do get ready to complete it before we open it to public, I would like to do a tour, part 2. So I want to thank you very much for all the hard work that went into this project, to you, to Natalie, and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Palmares.
Thank you for the presentation. Is the list of who resides in the Broadway project, is that from HUD, not HUD, from Housing Authority, or is it Housing Authority and Coordinated Entry?
So our operator, Shelter Inc., will work with Coordinated Entry System, and Vallejo residents have priority.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Matias.
A few years ago, with the previous council, I know there was a very spirited debate about the lack of sort of financial contribution from the Firm Foundation. So it is, and I know that they're on the line, very puzzling to me that we're going to be paying them anything. I'm just going to put that out there. At the same time, so I would want to sort of explore and better understand both for my own edification as a new council member, but also, just to better understand for Foundation's perspective why they believe they should be in a position to receive payment in relation to this project. So that's my comment on that front. And then on the other hand, I think one of the public speakers spoke to a reporting component, and so I want to better understand whether or not that is happening, and if that's happening into the commission, to you, to Mr. Murray, just so that we're sort of honoring those conditions that were assigned by that commission. Thank you.
Yes, through the mayor. Yes, the reporting does come on a weekly basis to the city attorney, the city manager, myself, and Natalie. And then written reporting also comes and has been forwarded each time. I believe it's monthly we're actually doing it, that the invoicing is coming in and the documentation and the actual report goes with budget and construction timeline reporting with all of that information. And I believe we're getting that monthly.
Yeah, I mean, any comment from the Firm Foundation in response to what I said? Did y'all mute me on purpose? I'm actually serious. Any comment whatsoever from the Firm Foundation in relation to the comment that I just made? Any response?
So, yeah, you're asking what a developer in this circumstance, where a nonprofit developer, does in order to contribute to this project that is deserving of a fee. And so, this project wouldn't exist without Firm Foundation ushering it along. I know at times it's been controversial. People have different feelings about affordable housing project, but we're a nonprofit that is dedicated to dedicating to ending homelessness and to developing high quality residential solutions to provide homes for people who don't have them. And so we've worked very closely with the city in partnership to both manage the design and entitlement process and construction. So, that covers a lot, but, we've been here through the course of the project. It's seen a lot of ups and downs over the years. And, we've been here the whole time. And I think that, if you're there's no profit that's being made off of this project. You can see we have much lower than the typical developer fee. Those fees go towards tons of project management time. I mean, we have countless hours, week over week, throughout the whole course of this project, including the extension. The time that the project wasn't able to continue through construction for a period of time because there was a funding gap. We still had to maintain the project and show up and figure out how to work with the city to help close that gap. And there's a lot of hidden work that you don't see day to day. Like, I can give you an example of just things that were happening this week. Chasing down, working with the general contractor to get PG&E on site and to meet their dates, because those are critical for getting the meters installed. So sort of like tending to all of the relationships and contracts, and escalating when other organizations are not meeting their deadlines, and trying to figure out who we can talk to get people on site to meet the deadlines. And it's hard to there's sort of a long several years worth of history on this project, where it's meeting with the construction team and showing up to these meetings and trying to meet with all of the city staff to keep them updated. And it's a lot of time and effort to get a project done. And so, I don't know how to quantify that in like a short off the cuff statement, other than to say that none of us are in this business to make money. We're here because we believe in this mission, and we think that it will make the city a better place for all residents. And we hope that you can share in that vision as well.
Thank you for that clarification. I think too, and you mentioned the point of a funding gap, and I think, and this is prior to each of us on council being a part of this contract, but from our original understanding was that there was let's put it this way: Firm Foundation was going to have their share as a part of this, and I guess we want to get an understanding of where the back or. Ms. Hain, did you want to
just clarify? I think we might be conflating. Shelter Inc. was going to participate financially to the project. Is that what you're talking about?
And I think that's where that this new council needs to understand the history of this, to making sure that we're understanding where there was a commitment from, I guess let's say an organization, and where they backed out of that financial commitment. And just want to make sure that we're not, as you point out, conflating the wrong organization with that understanding of who may have backed out of that. Am I stating that correctly?
Councilmember Matias, go ahead.
Admittedly, Assistant City Manager Hayden, it's 10 o'clock. I'm also probably 4 or 5 years older than when that meeting took place, but I vividly recall calling into the meeting and former council member, former Vice Mayor Loera Diaz going back and forth with the Firm Foundation around having them make contributions to this project, and a representative from that organization saying, we don't have money, we don't have money, we don't have money. Now, there was a very expansive explanation provided by a representative about all of the work that they've done in relation to that project. And at the same time, I think we also have to acknowledge that there were cost overruns and a whole host of other issues that were not just controversies. They were very real issues that expanded the cost of the city. And to the rep, I would just say, the city of Vallejo is not in the profit-making business either. We're not in it to make money ourselves, and yet I feel like time and time again we're on the short end of the stick, having to cover for things, and there's no shared responsibility. So I can't, admittedly, sit here and tell you I feel comfortable paying that 4% in developer fees when we've had so many issues with that project. But that's just me. I think that there's a lot of more communication that needs to happen. So that I can better understand all of this, because it doesn't make any sense right now.
Councilmember Ledeju.
I'd like to know, are all our bills current on that property for just any outstanding charges as we're closing out?
So as of this week, when the check comes out, I believe Thursday, we will be current. We're 30 days behind. That's just how the billing works, right? They bill and then there's 30 days. So if we're in, and by Thursday's check that goes out, we'll be current till end of March. And then those bills are actually coming in and being processed right now for it to be paid in, 30 days from those bills.
So how are we confirming and ensuring, because if we all recall, that part of the issue here was, if I'm not mistaken, and if I am, you can please correct me, but part of the issue was subcontractors and whomever else hadn't been paid, and we had this gap that $2.6 million, if I'm not mistaken, that we had to help fill for this project. So how are we on the city side doing the contract management portion of this work to ensure when we are done building and we're ready to occupy, that building is free and clear? It has a free and clear title.
So Natalie and myself, as well as the weekly meeting with the city attorney and the city manager, are tracking budget every single Monday, weekly. We are also getting updated title reports every 2 to 3 weeks, depending, to make sure that no liens have slipped by that we might have missed. So we're getting those title reports, we're tracking weekly. Like I said, at 97% completion and that 2 million that's left to be spent, we're tracking that every single week as the invoices come in, comparable to the remainder outstanding construction budget. So we're looking at that with all of our eyes, also as well as the finance team and department as well.
Okay. And so as we move forward on this project and are getting prepared to open, what kind of metrics have we set to manage and to ensure that we have proper oversight of the work that's being done and services provided?
Yes, so that will be coming to you May 13th in a very long 80-ish page contract, I think. Is that right? Yes. So we're building in those management metrics that we've talked about, and we have on some other projects and that we've discussed also with the council, and we will bring those to you in their entirety on the 13th for discussion and input and moving that contract forward. I don't know, Veronica, if you want to expand a little bit on some of those that have been written in.
Yeah, no, I'll expand on a couple of things. One, the contract is in the hands of Firm Foundation and Shelter Inc. to make their comments and whatever comments they want to make, and also to bind the attachments that exist that are needed for, like the budget, the management plan, the tenanting plan, the grievance process. All of those things are attachments to that. It's a lease and operator agreement. It's a little clunky here because of the timing with HCD and the fact that the city would be the ultimate owner, so we're not current owner at the time those are signed and bound, probably, unless this project gets held up more. At that point, we will be, city is it's a tri-party agreement right now as it currently reads. It would be cleaner if it weren't, but it's difficult to do and try to meet the HCD deadlines and some other things at the same time. So it's a little clunky. However, Gillian has pointed out this evening that there is this up to $600,000 shortfall. As we get to the end of that project, this project, the problem with that shortfall is making sure that it is covered, A, before the city takes ownership of that property, and B, that there are no liens at that time recorded. So there's going to be that final closeout here to figure out what that looks like on the back end. The developer is working hard to look for funding sources for that, but I'm not prepared to speak for their success rate or what that looks like, or what their options are. We have mentioned it at every Monday call as an issue that they need to deal with and deal with sooner rather than later.
So to the representative, where are we at bridging the gap for the $600,000? The city has already put in quite a bit of money to keep this project moving, so I can only imagine that you should be capable of being able to fill that $600,000 gap.
Heather, are you available?
Sorry, I'm chiming in. So I have our executive director is leading the charge and has been reaching out to our full contact list. We have a number of potential commitments, but they're not solid enough to sort of announce publicly. So I think we have some good leads. One of the issues that we're facing is that there is a lot of the public discourse on this project has tended to be a little bit negative because we have had some challenges to overcome along the course of the project. But ultimately, we would like to see some more positive enthusiasm given how close this is to completion and the good that it will do in the community. And there's even some objective metrics if you look at, cost per unit and compared to average affordable housing, we're actually doing quite well. There's some lots to celebrate on this project, and it would be helpful if there's some a little bit more of a excitement building around the completion of this job as we are getting close. That could help us sort of secure some of these gap funding opportunities. And so, I know that there's a long history on this project, and but I think that as we're coming so close to completion, it would be really great if we can move forward and celebrate the things that are going well and that this project is accomplishing, and if we can,
Okay,
use
so
that to help us.
sure. What action plan, as you talk about celebrating and overcoming some of the challenges that have been perceived by public around this project, what plan have you put forth to our city manager and staff around what that might look like for your organization as it relates to assisting you in that work or a funding opportunity?
Yeah. So we have, a number of partnerships that we are looking for some additional grant contributions towards. And we have a number of, positive press opportunities. We have talked about, Gillian mentioned earlier in the call, there's potential opportunities to talk about sponsoring rooms or, either like the community room or individual units as a way of, there's, highlighting support for this building and sort of the good that it's doing for the residents. So those are some of the things that we would like to pursue and have discussed.
May I, through the mayor? The executive director did send over this week some potential press release material for us to look at and partner on. We have also talked about our ribbon cutting because we're all going to be really excited the day that this is going to be able to be opening. So we want to make sure that we give a good notice so that our community can be a part of that, and all of our partners that have been part of this process can all be part of that and share, past council members, existing council members, our healthcare partners, everyone that's been part of the project. So I think those are two ways. I also think by using our social media outlets and just explaining and advertising the dates so that people know. I know when we advertised Blue Oak, we didn't have a whole lot of notice, but we had like 1,000 people applying in like a matter of hours. Mm-hmm. So I think the more that we can capitalize on the photos paired with the dates, and so that people know ahead of time when that lease up 90-day period begins, we'll be working on that. So those are a few of the things that the executive director and our team have been working on to move forward here in the next 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay.
Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you very much. I remember when I did the tour, I made a recommendation that each room can be donated. So let's say Lowe's say, hey, I got this room, and that their plaque can be on that door. To help sponsor each room, furniture the room. Has that taken into consideration?
Yes, actually, they are looking at big sponsors. They've been talking with people like Mare Island Company, Lowe's, Home Depot, large businesses here in the city. That is in process and negotiation right now.
I just have a couple quick comments. So yeah, the overage was going to be one of the things that I mentioned. And the other piece that I wanted to highlight was the leasing up, which we just got to. And I think my request, which is the same thing I mentioned last month, is, given what we saw with Blue Oak Landing, given that we know there's going to be tremendous demand and that there are requirements that people be in the pipeline with the county and have extra certain services, I would ask that we come up with a plan in advance of the application period opening to make sure that our unhoused residents here that are currently on the street are getting support to make sure that they get their applications in. Because I think that was one of the big misses with Blue Oak. And I know it was a different type of project, so it wasn't quite, it's not quite apples to apples, but it's really, really important that this project, after everything that's gone into it, really help our folks and provide relief to the folks that have been out on the street, and especially because it's chronically unhoused. You know, we have many folks that this would be a perfect fit for, and I don't want them to get lost in a sea of, 500, 600 applicants for 47 units. Councilmember Ledeju.
ACM, I do believe in, I don't know if you can share, but I do know that the outreach and the posting has begun, and I know that a team, hot team, has gone out along with your staff member, and I do believe that there have been individuals actually signed up in the HMIS system. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so definitely, definitely Natalie and Floor have been working on this for months with our community partners. As we go out to each of these encampments, we're definitely taking the time and energy to match up our community partners with our unhoused. So there are opportunities ahead of time to sign up in that HIMS system, which is what Resource Connect uses to identify unhoused individuals. So those are some of the qualifying factors that have to be taken care of before the applications are submitted in order for them to be able to apply. And so that's been happening now for several months and will continue to happen. And I'm happy to say the last 2 unhoused meetings that staff has held, even more community partners have been volunteering and taking on this charge as well to help us. So we'll continue to do that. Thank you for pointing that out.
And thank you for that work. I've attended both meetings, and I've heard just recently about the work that's going on and how all of the service providers really are coming together and assisting. So I do appreciate that. And, we've had a host of community members come, and Natalie has done an excellent job in fielding the questions and helping us move things forward. So thank you for that.
All right. I'm not seeing any other comments, so we'll close this item. Thank you very much. And we will go on to item 11, which is our city manager's report.
Thank you. Just quickly want to mention that tomorrow, the Vallejo Police Department and the Vallejo City Unified School District are going to kick off a new collaboration called Safe Start to Schools, which is a pilot program through which VPD officers are going to help ferry kids to school in the mornings at specific schools that have challenging locations for safe passage to school. So tomorrow morning will be the first Safe Start to School days. It'll take place at Patterson Elementary. On Thursday, that will take place at Lincoln Elementary, and on Friday, it will take place at Loma Vista Environmental Science Academy. And this is a process and program that the Police Department and VCUSD are going to roll out district-wide, having these periodic events. It's going to have police officers helping with drop-off in the mornings, helping to monitor traffic, assist with pedestrian safety, and just be visible to encourage responsible driver behavior and behavior by other community members. So just wanted to make everybody aware of this new program. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That'll bring us to our city attorney's report.
No report this evening.
All right, thank you. That's going to bring us to our second community forum. So we'll ask Manny to start the 2-minute clock for anyone wishing to address the council on items not on the agenda that has not already addressed the council in the first forum. And I'll check and see, do we have any speakers in person that we can go ahead and call while the online timer runs?
Yes, Mayor, we have one in-house
All right,
speaker.
Let's go ahead and have him up. Thanks for your patience.
Melvin Cohen.
All right. So good evening, Mayor Source, council members, and Administrator Murray. My name is Melvin Cowan, and I'm a resident and founder of Enough Housing, a local initiative focused on building health-anchored and equity-centered housing solutions in the city I call home here, Vallejo. And so how will we explain to the next generation why we delayed housing people we knew were suffering when solutions were in front of us and support was in our hands? 2 weeks ago, I stood before you to request 2 time-sensitive letters of support for the Legacy Village at Maria's Place, a 55-unit permanent supportive housing project rooted in health, workforce development, and guaranteed basic income. Our letter for the Supernova application, the other for the Corporation for Supportive Housing, to unlock pre-development funding and move the project through entitlements before the Home Key Plus deadline. At that meeting, the mayor publicly committed to supporting those letters, but despite multiple follow-ups, there was no response. Other than, I give credit to Councilmember Ledeju, as well as City Administrator Murray for responding to my request. However, from the mayor, there was no response, no explanation, and we missed the opportunity to compete for millions in critical funding. As someone doing the work, working to bring real solutions to Vallejo, that silence isn't just disappointing, it's harmful, especially when we have letters of support from Senator Cabalden's office, Assemblymember Lori Wilson, Supervisor Cassandra James, former Supervisor Aaron Hannigan, former Councilmember Christina Ariola, Solano Community Foundation, the Workforce Development Board, Caminar, and Housing First Solano County, Housing First Solano Continuum of Care. So why not our own mayor? I've also heard concerns about concentration of affordable housing, but respectfully, we don't need less housing in some places. We need more housing in all places. And we can't punish districts that are stepping up. And let's be clear, 96 Vallejo residents become homeless each year, so an average of 8 people per month. The Broadway project is now 2 years delayed. That's 200 more people unhoused while we wait. When it opens, it'll add 47 units. That's why the Legacy Village is essential. The support we're asking for is not financial. It's moral, it's administrative, it's leadership. When we look back, will we be proud of what we did, or will we have to admit that delay and silence stood in the way of housing our neighbors? And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any other commenters? Anyone online?
Thank you, Mayor. We do have one speaker online.
All right.
Tina, please unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. First of all, I just want to honor the last speaker, the prior speaker to me. I want to give you a virtual hug. I lost your contact information because I am no longer a city council member, and all of our email correspondence is gone. So please reach out to me at xtinarriola@gmail.com. I missed you. Oh my God, we had such great conversations. So there's that. Because this guy we need to help him. His ideas are so fantastic and practical. And as I've been saying all along, turn these derelict motels and hotels into housing. They've done it in West Sacramento. We can do it here in Vallejo. So please reach out to this guy. He's got it going on, and he's got a lot of helpful people in high places that can get that thing going on. And to Terry Bradshaw, thank you, Terry Bradshaw, for pronouncing Vallejo, not Vallejo. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other speakers?
None at this time, Madam Mayor.
All right, that is going to bring us to a report of the presiding officer and members of the city council. So I'm going to save my report as I usually do for the end, but I do want to address the speaker. I fully support the project, and we had, I don't know if it was a miscommunication, was not aware that the deadline was the 15th. I was with a couple of my colleagues when I found out, and I was apoplectic. So I know that there's another opportunity to do funding. The other confusion that I think we had that I would like to address is that I, as the mayor, cannot issue a support letter on behalf of anyone but myself individually, and I can't do it on behalf of the council. So if a letter is needed from the city council or from the city, we need to get that agendized. And so I actually would like to clarify now what we need and if we need it agendized, because I had a misunderstanding about what was being asked of me. I thought we were trying to facilitate a letter of support from the city, and I was working with the city manager to try and figure out the best way, what we were going to do, whether I was going to send something individually, and was completely unaware that there was a 5 p.m. April 15th deadline. So that obviously was something that, had I known about, I would have been happy to do, but I think speaks to a broader issue of we missed something else, missed beyond and above me, because I think the city, we needed more from the city. It wasn't just me in my office. It was something went wrong at the city level, that this came last minute and it was placed without an ability for us to really show support of the project. So that's a procedure and process issue that I just want to kind of call out and clarify. So I see reports from my colleagues. We'll go with Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you so much, and likewise the same. If you have my number, please reach out to me so that we can really not let this happen again. We want to thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate your passion, so I want to thank you for that, sir. And if I dropped the ball, I also apologize openly. I wanted to give my report. So one, I would like to please help me direct in this. I want to give for the step two. Thank you. I'd like to put iHeart on the agenda for a resolution to be added for the 2025-2026 budget. I would like to also put a line audit for the late night basketball, the $25,000 for the safety and youth resolution with the first responder. As you know, this is no cost to them at all, to the students. This is a time that they play that's been recorded at most time on Fridays that they don't have a lot to do, and unfortunately, from the data from the police department, that it is where they get into trouble. And so this is my request to ask to put it on the agenda. And then I would like to let you know I attended the Apartheid Advisory Board that was created in 1964 through Congress, who passed the Economic Opportunity Act to ensure that poverty does not take place and submerge our communities, which unfortunately at that time it was. I also like to put on the agenda, I would like to put a resolution for the agenda for the California Forever to give us some information regarding their proposal for the Mare Island Naval Shipyard. I just want them to be able to, staff to help get them here to give us a presentation. And I'd also like to say Sister Cities had their meeting and they'd like to request, as you know, I mentioned it at the board, at the budget, for $15,000. The board president, Ms. Stewart, also in the meeting in honor of Ikuku. Let me get her, make sure I say her name right. Because unfortunately she passed and she has been a long member of the Sister Cities. And so I just wanted to give her that respect. Her name is EKUU Gasket. And so it was sad because a lot of people felt a lot about her. So I'm sorry to hear that she passed, and my condolences to the family. Also, I got a chance to attend the Norman King Center. They reopened the doors to the community on Sunday, and they had over 1,000 kids and families, and Easter eggs was everywhere, 2,000 eggs, and so it was so wonderful to see the community come out and support this. And then my last thing is Saturday, South Vallejo, it's a city cleanup for Vallejo
We are right now focusing on South Vallejo cleanup at Emmanuel Temple from 9 to 12. And on the 26th, we need everyone to come out, please, to help out. And remember, this may be in my district, but it belongs to all of us. So that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask 2 clarifying questions? The
Yes.
budget requests, were you requesting that those come back as individual items, or do you want to bring them back? I don't know exactly the best way to do it, if we're going to have that on the 15th when the budget comes back, or the May date when the budget comes back? Or it's 27th, yeah.
Yeah, like
Did you
to-
want those to come back separately as requests, or did you want to address them when we have the budget?
I'd like them to come back on the agenda separately.
Separately, okay.
Thank you
City
for
Manager Murray, do you
clarifying.
wanna-
If I may, I'll just provide a little some information, which is we agreed at the last budget workshop that Finance would send to each council member a prompt for your budget requests, and I know that Rake and her team have produced a format for that, so I expect that will come to you soon. That would be another mechanism for you to submit your requests. So Finance is going to send to each of you a form, essentially, where you get to itemize what you'd like to see added to the budget, and staff will compile all of that and bring that to the council meeting when the proposed budget is introduced. So that's another mechanism to have the full council consider the budget requests of Midnight Basketball and iHeart.
Okay, thank you so much, I appreciate it. And what about for sister cities? Is that also the same thing?
And for sister cities.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And the reason I asked that was because I think that with the time of the 2-step process takes, I think that'll actually be quicker to do it on that date. And then my other question for you, you mentioned California Forever and Mare Island Shipyard. Were you requesting that California Forever come and present on their Collinsville proposal?
Yes.
Or that Mare Island Company present on the Mare Island Shipyard?
Both of them, if that's okay, if staff can do that for me, because I think that's important to hear from both of them. We've been hearing from the community that we're one of the cities that have not had invite either one of them. So if we can ask both to come, that would be great. I'm seeing Gillian.
I think we already have a council referral to invite the Mare Island Company to come and talk about various things, including Conley Corridor, but we could certainly expand that scope to cover their designs for revitalizing shipbuilding or repair there.
Okay.
And so it would be a separate referral related to California Forever if the council would like to invite them to come.
Yeah, I think those are good separately, because I think the Mare Island one, we should also talk about the SHIPS Act.
Yes.
I think that would be good. So
Yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
right.
that.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I
have
wanted
to-
to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it, because I
Right.
did write the word ship app right here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Vice Mayor.
Just a quick question. I had a constituent ask, do we have a date set for the goal-setting session? Or I may have missed it, but
We do not. The city clerk polled the council members and identified some dates, but not everybody was available on those dates. And that date, we were planning on having 2 sessions separated by a couple or 3 weeks. That would only be the date for the first, which is, there was one date in June that was a possibility. So I think we're going to continue to look.
okay, thank you.
Thank you for asking that. All right, Councilmember Matias.
I apologize. Thank you. He's let me ask a question. I wanted to know if we can do set up for team building. Remember, I asked that. 2 different things. Team building is us.
Yeah, so the council actually provided direction on what to include in the goal-setting process. I'd be happy to forward to everybody. It's been some time since we talked about that. There was a first-tier set of issues that the council wanted to address, which were the top-line mission, vision, values, goals. The second workshop would be kind of work planning, and there was a notation that at some point the city council would like to do some team building, although that might not be part of those first 2 meetings.
I really want us to do team building. I think we really need it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Noted, and we have council direction on what to include in those goal-setting meetings.
All right, Councilmember Matias.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to start out with a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Mr. Cowan, who has been really solutions-oriented across a whole host of issues to move our city forward. And although there was a bump of the road here. I hope we can learn from it and we can be an effective partner to you in continuing to bring solutions to our city. So I want to thank you for that and know that you have a partner in me, and I know the rest of the council. Number two, I also want to thank Councilmember Letadrew for fiercely advocating for the Safe Passage program. I sat in several meetings with her where I know she was pushing VPD hard to bring this pilot to fruition, and to see that happen tomorrow is a beautiful thing for our kiddos. So I want to also extend that gratitude to VPD and to the city manager's office. And then lastly, I want to give you guys a report out. Two of my commissions met just in the past 2 weeks. Economic Development Commission had presentations for Visit Vallejo and Vallejo Main Street, where they talked about collaboration and some of the work that's ahead for those entities. The Economic Development Commission also voted to adopt a work plan that's going to be focused on 5 key areas, which very much align with some of the discussions we've had as a council. And they also included a budget request, which I'm sure will be making its way into what we receive in May. Measure P also met on April 14th. Had an opportunity to attend that meeting with the mayor. We received, that commission received a report from auditors, selected a chairman and a vice chairman for the year ahead, and also talked about a work plan for their commission, and reflected on some of the learnings from what has been, very interesting experience sitting on that commission. So I want to thank those two bodies for moving their work forward. I myself interviewed additional applicants for commissions, and I sat on some of those meetings with council members Matulak and Gordon, and I appreciate the partnership in helping conduct those interviews last week, I believe, or 2 weeks ago. And then, was it last? Yeah, it was last week. Oh, man. And then the last thing, I would like to request, since this is probably going to take some time, consideration of this, of a Sonoma Boulevard ad hoc committee for this body to consider at a future date. And then my last ask to City Manager Murray, and I don't know if we need to go through a 14-step process for this, but I would like to see a report, maybe once a month, if not once a quarter, of how much progress like your team is making through See Click Fix. I know you've made a lot of enhancements to that platform, and it'd be helpful for us to see what are some of the issues that are coming in from our community, and by extension, like how fast are we making our way through the backlog, because that goes back like several years. So if there's some way you can provide that to us on a consistent basis, I would really appreciate it. And City Attorney, I'll leave it up to you if I have to go through all the steps to make that request.
We're happy to do it.
Thank you.
I'm happy to do it. Just a point of clarification, do you mean on all sorts of different types of requests or abandoned vehicles in particular?
So, I mean, if it can be categorized, like these are the top 5 that are coming up, this is how many cases we have open, and this is how many we've closed, I think that would be helpful for us to take a look at, just in terms of quality of life issues.
Yep, we'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Matulak.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, I want to catch up on a commitment I made, I think, a couple of city council meetings ago, where I talked about, where I had attended the Vallejo Sports Hall of Fame. And I gave a shout out to a couple of colleagues of mine that I personally knew, but I wanted to make sure that I actually acknowledge the rest of the Hall of Fame inductees based on a lot of the accolades and accomplishments that they've done over the years. So I want to give a shout out to Eddie Abasolo, Don Bostic, Duke Brown, Gabriel D'Amicis, Ali Evans, John Hardy, Lauren Knight, Jim Owens, Jason Shelley, Chris Smith, Wilani Tak, and the 2005, 2006, and 2007 Vallejo High girls wrestling team, who won 3 straight championships that year. So I would love to have given the short bio for each of them, but we'd be here forever. So for the many accolades. So, but I wanted to fulfill that commitment I made a while ago for that one. So moving on with the rest of my report. On April 9th, I had the honor or I had the privilege with Sergeant Hollis to gather together a District 2 neighborhood watch commander group. And this is basically the kickoff of what Sergeant Hollis's vision is of expanding the Neighborhood Watch program that he's been doing. So we use District 2 as kind of like the pilot program right now. And at that meeting, we were able to add 4 additional captains just at that meeting alone. So I think from that experience, I think we're looking to expand that and make it bigger and better throughout all the districts. So that's part of I think the public safety vision that Chief Taw and the rest of his colleagues are having. I know I mentioned it earlier, but I think the mayor and those of us that serve on a lot of the STA boards. So I think one of the big conversations that have been happening is and I've been having this conversation with Supervisor James, is that we in District 2 and her District 1 at the county level, we've been getting a lot of questions and concerns and comments regarding the upcoming construction that's happening at Fairgrounds and Highway 37. And with the diverging Diamond Lane and all that construction that's going to be happening, I think the thing that's been missing is there hasn't been enough information for a lot of our constituents to understand. And so for the general public, STA is going to be heading that effort is to get out that information. So I think, and I think it will include the mayor on this, but I've been talking with Daryl Halls and Nick Burton with STA of how to address this and get a game plan together. So just want to let the constituents know that moving forward, we will have more information. We just want to make sure we strategically get it out there so that everybody, so it answers a lot of questions, concerns, and a lot of the detours that may be happening. So that'll be in the works. Want to highlight upcoming dates that we have are on May 7th. We have in following up with City Manager Murray's of the similar to what the Safe Walk to School program there. We actually have the May 7th National Walk, Roll, and Bike to School, which is through Safe Routes to School. And I know there's at least 4 schools that we've been, and I know the mayor is going to be going to one, and I would encourage, and you're going to one. Yes. And so I've got one at my own school over at Dan Meany Elementary School. So we want to get that out there and basically encourage a lot of the education behind the National Walk, Bike, and Roll to School program that the Safe Routes to School is putting together. And then to speaking to Councilmember Matias, one of the things I've been pushing for for the Planning Commission that I've been a liaison is the fact that this council is looking forward to economic development as part of moving a lot of things forward. And I've been trying to and encourage our planning department, our planning commission, to engage with the Economic Development Commission. And so there's been talk about having potentially a joint meeting to share ideas, to have their particular commissions have their understanding of their vision of what they're doing and kind of combine that, because in my mind, that's a parallel effort that we can help move our economic development forward with that. And a lot of it starts with planning of where certain businesses and projects can actually go. So I think hopefully that's going to be a future conversation that we can have that we can help mirror that together. And then to continue with my effort to kind of highlight a local business and stuff, a local business here in Vallejo, I'd like to highlight Vallejo Chiropractic on Tennessee Street. Apparently, in full disclosure, I'm actually a customer over there and stuff. But they've won the I guess the best of from the Times Herald from 2008 to current, as far as one of the best chiropractics organizations out there. So, and I want to do a special shout out to Timothy Calderon over at Costco. I had a situation on Friday where I was having a tire issue, and Costco being as busy as they are, he was able to, and I just happened to catch them at a low point, a low moment or a non-busy time to where he was able to fit me into their busy schedule and take care of me. So I told him, I just wanted to share that for the fact that I'm highlighting local businesses. I want to point out the fact that no matter what that company business is, it always comes down to individuals that are providing that customer service. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to Timothy Calderon specifically for his support that he was able to give me from Costco. And that would be the end of my report.
Thanks. Councilmember Ledesju.
Thank you. I would just like to share with everyone that Supervisor Cassandra James and the United Way Bay Area invite all of us and all of our community to join local leaders, service providers, and advocates for a midday convening focused on solutions to homelessness. And the event will feature a film screening, Beyond the Bridge, and panel discussion with representatives from Solano County organizations who are working directly with the unhoused population. So as we have been convening here locally under the leadership of our city manager, let's continue that dialogue, let's continue that work, and continue to share ideas so that we can really come up with the needed solutions that will help our unhoused. And lunch will be provided, and this event is tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Dan Foley Cultural Center. And the cost is free.
Thank you. Councilmember Gordon, you had another quick comment.
I apologize. I did not give credit to Izzy and her team, One People Tribe, so I apologize for that. And for my Watch Captain meeting, is going to be on the 26th, this Wednesday at 6 p.m., but unfortunately I won't be there because I will be here interviewing for our 3 important commission positions. So please come out, represent me, and all my ambassadors, please come out. And I appreciate it. And then I want to say this to the staff and to my colleagues. May you be proud of the work that you do, the person you are, and the difference you make.
All right, thank you. So I'll close this out. I had a note to bring up. I think we should set a established no earlier than closed session start time, because we've had a lot of 4 and 4:30 closed sessions in a row. And I think those of us that have jobs that extend, it's really difficult, and we have folks that aren't here, and so I don't know the best way to do that, but maybe we can send an email asking council their sort of preferred no earlier than start time for closed session, and then if we have an emergency, obviously we can go with that, but my suggestion would be 5 or 5:30 at the earliest. We say, hey, anything earlier than that, and we need to have a conversation about it, because it's just been getting I know really difficult for folks. Our next meeting is going to be May 13th, so this council is going to get our first Tuesdays off since the year started, and we need it. We've been really working really hard, but I wanted to forecast the agenda items for the 13th that are planned. They're not finalized yet, obviously, but we're looking at bringing back the whistleblower policy, long overdue, the disaster preparedness presentation, the quarterly update from economic development, and I think maybe planning is part of that, and then a broadband update. Anything that doesn't make it onto that agenda would probably go to the next one. But we do, just to remind everybody, we have an ongoing list. We're getting into the established meetings with myself and the vice mayor and the city clerk and city manager to make sure that we're trying to keep the meeting agendas manageable. And we've gotten through most everything that council requested. So the things we have remaining from earlier this year are the reviews of the planning permitting that Councilmember Palmares had requested, the review of the city's boards and commissions, the casino update, and then the Mare Island Connolly corridor is ongoing. The commission meetings, I haven't been able to, I've been trying to pop into commission meetings if I'm at City Hall and they're around, so many of you have seen me pop in. Some of the dates are days I'm not here, so some of the commissions I just never see, but I've been trying to kind of come in, at least say hi, and I really appreciate the time everybody's putting into being liaisons for that. it's funny that Councilmember Matulik, I want to thank you for your leadership I know we've been having conversations with Supervisor James about how to get people information on this diverging diamond. And I actually just the last couple of days was doing some research on a diverging diamond, and I was looking at examples in other cities and talking to people in other cities to try to get a better understanding so that when we go to the community, we can say this is what it's going to look like. But we also need to let people know this is what you can expect from a traffic and construction standpoint. So we're really trying to develop that kind of comms and outreach plan. And the council member and supervisor have been really proactive about that. I want to thank you both. I have one agenda request. I would like to agendize, it's probably going to be a couple months, but I would like to agendize Sperry Mill and talk about that. That came up at the budget workshop, and I think it's about time that we bring that up and figure out what we're doing with that site. So with that, unfortunately for everyone, surprise, we had been considering when we ended our last agenda item 45 minutes ago, we had thought about bringing back the redevelopment agency item so we can knock it out and not have to have a special meeting. It has now, much time has passed. It is actually getting pretty late, and I want to maybe just take a quick straw poll if people want to continue and power through and take care of that successor ARG. About 5 minutes. I'm seeing nods. Is anybody vehemently opposed to just powering through? Okay. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. The time is 10:47. And anybody need a quick break, or let's go. All right. I'm going to call the meeting to order.
We need to reset.
Oh, we need to reset. Okay.
There's our break.